Self-care is not intuitive. In fact, it goes against many of the things that we have learned about ourselves, things we were raised to believe about work and ourselves in the world. I'm here to change that. I'm here to change the narrative and blow up the self-care box. I'm your host, Desiree Rue, licensed clinical social worker, self-care strategist, freelance writer, a lover, and a fighter. And I'm Self-Care's AF. And this is Self-Care's AF, the podcast. You ask me, and I answer the questions that get you out of the box and into the life that lights you up from the inside out. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? No, really, how are you doing today? Well, I am so glad to be back with you, and I hope that your day, your week, your weekend has just been amazing. Hope you've had some great self-care experiences, some time to yourself, some time to do the things that light you up. We are back to Self-Careish AF, the podcast. You ask, and I am going to answer. And as I promised, we have some questions to answer today. But listen, let me tell you about what I have been doing because I've been doing great. I've been traveling. I've been fighting kung fu fighting jet lag. Okay. And I have had an opportunity to spend some amazing time with my family, particularly my grandson. For all of you who are grandparents or aspiring to be, listen, we know that it is the best role possible because we get to send those jokers right back home. But my grandson graduated from pre-kindergarten and he did a great job in his graduation. He actually had a leading role in one of the songs that they sang, and he did so good. He's so just poised and had no problem being in the front, and grandma was so proud. And then I got to spend some time with my son, who is every day reminding me that goodness came out of my parenting. So all those moments when I thought maybe I didn't do such a great job, I look at him and I say, we didn't do too bad. And he's a really, really good man, a good father, and just a good person. So I had a great time visiting with them. I ate some amazing food. I ate food that I'm still dreaming about. For all of you foodies out there, you listen, if you're a foodie, you get this. It is something about sitting down to a meal you didn't cook in a place that has a vibe where you can feel the love that coming straight from the kitchen mixed into that food that just does the soul good. And I got a chance to experience lots of that. I've been eating so well this month. Well, not as in healthy, but well as in just food that's just been so good and prepared in love and expertise, and just that mix of it is, listen, that's my self-care. Anytime I get an opportunity to be a part of someone else's creation, as a creator, I love to see other people create. I love to walk into their dreams. I feel that way every time I'm in an airplane. This was somebody's dream. The Wright brothers knew that air transportation was possible, even when everyone told them that they were nuts. And look at us now. And every time I get on the plane, I'm just so reminded that your dreams are worth pursuing. And I love every time that I fly to know I'm sitting literally in someone's wildest dream. So if you have dreams that are unrealized or that you think are so wild, you just don't even know where to start with them, keep dreaming, keep pushing forward, and put them into the world because one day someone will be impacted by your wildest dreams. So I'm always inspired by being close to creativity and being a part of the things that others create. So let's dig into these questions. Listen, thank you all so much for sending questions. I didn't know you all had so many questions, but you do. And I've chosen two that I thought really reflected the thread of what was coming in. This month's topic is self-care and work-life balance. And so the reason why we're starting with work-life balance is because that is usually when people think about self-care, they're thinking about it in that framework. It's where we spend the majority of our time, and it's also the major place that we feel interrupts our ability to do self-care. So I wanted to start there because I want to just go ahead and disrupt the conversation from out the gate. Work-life balance is a outcome that is centered around work. It's a reason why we've been the messaging is work-life balance. Because what the messaging is telling us that our life is predicated on our work. And who benefits from that type of messaging? The workplace, right? The workplace benefits from that. Keeping work top of mind, keeping work at the forefront, and for us to believe that our life has to center around work is really, the best possible outcome for that is the organization or the work. And so I believe the first thing I want to disrupt, the first thing I want to change, the first thing that I want to cement into your brain is that it is life work balance that we are trying to achieve and that we should achieve. Because when your life is flowing, when your life is from abundance, when your life is the thing that you are trying to accomplish and do well, then everything else flows from that, including your work. So I believe that it is life work balance in which we should be trying to accomplish and accommodate and not work life. But we hear that, we read that, but just know that anything that you read from me is always going to have life work balance because it is your life that I'm helping you to, or hopefully guiding you to having an understanding of so that everything that flows from it is great, including your work. So that's the first thing. Disrupt it, throw it in the trash. We are talking about life work balance. But let me get to this first question. And this question is from Paulette. And Paulette asks, what does self-care look like in retirement? Paulette, thank you so much for this question. It's a wonderful question because I'm sure many people, especially those nearing retirement, really starting to think about what does self-care really look like in retirement? Well, I'm going to tell you what came up for me when I saw this question. The first thing that came up for me is that Paulette, it's obvious that you are still sort of in a traditional mode of thinking about work. That your thought is that you work and then you get to retire. You get to rest. You get to retire from the work. But the work is not your life. And so what self-care should look like in retirement, the real question is, what should my life look like when there is no longer work is not at the forefront of it? That's the question. What should my life look like when work is no longer at the forefront of it? And that is a question really for you to answer. What do you want your life to look like when work is not at the forefront of it? And then once you answer that question, Paulette, I'm going to tell you this. Your life in retirement should look like your life right now. That's the answer to that question. Self-care, your life, your relationship with yourself, your pursuit of the things that bring you joy, your pursuit of the things and the people and the ideas and the thoughts that fill you up should look the same in retirement as it does right now. And so if your life right now is heavy on the work side and a little light on the life side, what can you do to balance that? Now is a perfect time to practice because your self-care in retirement, when work is not at the forefront, should look exactly like your self-care now. In fact, when work is not at the forefront or doesn't take the majority of the hours, you should be able to incorporate the things that you enjoy more often. So that's why it should look the same. But again, our traditional mindset around work is that we work first and then we rest. So we hold on to our rest. We put the rest on a wait list until there's no more work. And that really is the only person who benefits from that is the work. Your life does not have to go on a wait list. what the things that you desire to do, any dream that you have, any activity that you enjoy, you can do it now. Your self-care in retirement should look exactly like your self-care now. And even adding more things to it because now work is not the take up the primary hours. So I really love this question because again, it helps me to understand so many of us are in our traditional mindsets around work. I hear people often saying, "Well, when I retire, then I'll get to do that." And it really makes me sad to think that you don't think you can do that now because you can. Maybe not in the biggest or with all of those hours, but there is a semblance of what you want to do that you can incorporate now. And to think that work must come first before any of your dreams or any of your desires is a myth. It is not fact and it is not true. But it is the way that we have been conditioned to believe about work. Why? Because work wants us working. It wants us there. Turnover is expensive in organizations. It costs money when we leave jobs. And so of course, the workforce wants us in it for as long as they can keep us. That's why they give us benefits. Benefits are sort of like a competitor's package. In any relationship that you're in, you're always competing against the next guy. So our work competes. They want us there. So they give us benefits, not because they think, oh, Paulette really could use, I think she really could use this good dental plan. It's if I give Paulette this dental plan, then Paulette will stay with me and not go somewhere else. That's why they're called benefits. Understand and recognize that your relationship with work is sort of one-sided. They care about you, but they care about you in relationship to work. And that's one of the main things about work-life balance or our relationship that we have with work. We expect work to be all of the things to us. We expect work to be our friends. We expect it sometimes to stand in the gap for our parents, our spouses, the things that we want to do. And we give a lot of responsibility to work to do the things for us that we really can be doing for ourselves. We don't have to wait for retirement in order to do the things that light us up, to think about ourselves first before the job. So, Paulette, that was a long way of saying your self-care in retirement, should look exactly like your self-care now. And if you are struggling with what your self-care is now is the time to practice. Now is the time to ask the question, what is my life looking like when work is not at the center of it? And it may take some time to answer that. That may not be something that you can just roll off the top of your head. May be sometimes something you think through. But get to that answer first, and then you'll get to your answer of what self-care should look like in retirement. And then practice what you come up with. So I hope that has been helpful to you. And again, that question is so not uncommon because we have been conditioned to think that we work and then we retire and all the things that we want to do in life comes after our retirement. But in fact, all the things you want to do in life is available to you to do right now. Today, tomorrow, next week. And maybe not in big chunks, but certainly in small. So I hope that was helpful and I hope that answered your question. And anyone else that has questions about retirement or nearing retirement, right now, start practicing putting the life in front of the work-life balance, making life first. And then when you get to retirement, it won't be so hard. You won't have to adjust so much. You will already be doing the things that you want to do. You will already be living the life that you want to live when work is not the primary focus of it. Okay? I hope that helped. Thank you for the question, Paulette. I truly appreciate you being a part of this community and even asking. Okay. Next question. And this question is from Crystal. Thank you so much for your question, Crystal. Crystal says, I'm a party of 5, a mom of 3 with a great husband. Girl, you got a great husband. Kudos to you, okay? If you got a great husband, you go give your husband a kiss right now and just be like, thank you, boo, because not everybody has that, okay? Okay, I'm everybody. Okay, back to the question. I've been with my current company for 2 years. The environment is like night and day. I am supported by my leadership. I can take the time I need to put family first. My team is fantastic, but I still struggle to take time off. I feel guilty about not being there, even when I know my team can handle things. I can recognize the need in my staff and encourage them to take self care, but I can't seem to do it for myself, and I don't know why. How can I improve my own self care when it's really nothing in my way? Crystal, you have asked the magic question of the day. There are so many people who struggle with being able to take the time that they need. They feel it. Essentially, there's nothing in their way. They have the PTO, they have the permission, but they just don't have the self permission to do it. And so your question is, how can I improve my own self care when it's really nothing in my way? Well, the first thing have to do is acknowledge that you are the only thing that's standing in your way. But you know that already, right? You know that it's not an issue of you not having permission, which for many people it is, that the culture doesn't allow, for a person to comfortably take off or do the things that they need to do for them. Even though the policies are there, the work culture can be such that the expectation is a certain way that you have to be there. So I think the thing for you, Crystal, is to understand how you got to this place. Because your fight isn't against how do I make my mind do it? It's understanding why it's so difficult for you. One of the reasons is, again, our conditioning to work. Also, how we identify work in our relationship or any relationship with us. Oftentimes, work is the place where we feel accomplished. It's the place where we get to use and be the best parts of ourselves, where our education and our creativity and all the things that makes us who we are, we get to implement it at work. And knowing that you're doing well in something, knowing that you're doing good in something is intoxicating. It's a wonderful feeling. It's the feeling that you got the first time you got an A or you passed, or when you were able to read and you heard, good job, Crystal, good job. We grow up chasing that. Many of us in our lives, we grow up chasing that good job, good job. We like to hear it. We're conditioned to it. And so most of us get that in the workplace. So sometimes thinking about taking off, it's the fear of losing that possible good job. It's also taking yourself away from something that you really enjoy. Many of us love our work. Like, we really love what we do. We love where we're doing it. We love why we're doing it. We just haven't learned that it doesn't have to be an either or situation, right? Taking off doesn't mean that you don't love the job or that you're not good at it. The trick is adding yourself to the mix. So when you're asking, how can I, incorporate self-care when there's nothing in my way, put yourself on the list. Understand that it is not the job making you, but it's you making the job. And so self-care is not something that you are doing willy-nilly. Self-care is something that you are doing to keep the thing that is making your work so powerful sharp. Rest rejuvenates. When we go to sleep at night, our cells are rejuvenating from itself. That's why rest is usually prescribed when we're ill. That's why we feel better when we wake up, when we have a really good sleep and we wake up from it, because there's things happening inside of our body that can only happen when we are resting. Similarly to taking self-care off, taking time off from work. Resting refuels, it re-energizes. It gives you the opportunity to be able to think through a difficult question or problem, come up with a solution because now you have space in your brain to do it. And sometimes that space is only given to us when we rest. So when you understand your relationship to the work, it makes it easier to take off. You will accomplish. And what you know is that you can accomplish full of stress. But imagine how much more you could do if you didn't have so much. And the way to do that is to incorporate the things that you need, including time away. Including time away. So if you are standing in the way of your own self care, understand why you're there. What are you afraid of losing by removing yourself? And understand how to put yourself first. So putting yourself there is actually ensuring that the work that you love, the outcomes that you strive for will actually happen. You didn't get this way by yourself. We're conditioned to the accomplishment. We're conditioned to the reward, verbal, nonverbal, monetary, that work provides us. And when we think about stepping away, we also think that we're stepping away from those things. So what we want to do is to replace that thought, reframe it, and understanding that stepping away makes you greater for the task. You got a great team in place, which means you have resources. Allow your resources to do what they're designed to do, to be helpful. You trust them, then let them do those things so that you can then go back and rejuvenate yourself. You weren't taught to do that. You never had a conversation that, oh, this is a part of the rubric of work. You were taught to work and then rest or earn the rest that you needed. But you always deserve and need rest. It's not anything that you have to earn. Self-care is not something that has to be earned. It is something that already is. It is within your power and only you can yield it. See, before you were waiting for the job to give you the opportunity. Now you have the opportunity and you're like, well, what's wrong? Because what's wrong is you don't understand the power that you actually have to implement it. So I would say take some time to learn, to get to know that power and how to yield it in the big and small ways that's necessary. Being a party of 5 doesn't mean that you cannot take self-care. Doesn't mean that you can't take your time. It only means you may need to do it in small ways until you can do it in bigger ways. Just like for Paulette, you do not have to wait for the situation to remove itself before you can put yourself into your own life. You can do that. Like I said, it may be in different ways, small ways, but certainly it can be done. So I encourage you to figure out or to ask yourself, what am I afraid of if I don't come in or if I take a scheduled day off? What am I afraid of if I take time away from the party of 5 to do something for myself? What am I afraid of losing? Is it respect? Is it understanding? Is it praise? Is it your standing? But you have to come to grips with the thing that you're afraid of that will help you to be able to push those things aside, rewrite your narrative, and add yourself to your calendar. That's the only thing that's missing is you. So I hope that was helpful for you, Crystal. But again, this is not easy. Self-care is so difficult because we are fighting things more than just time. We're fighting things more than just money. We're fighting expectations, the way we were raised, what we understand about work, what work tries to tell us it is in the relationship we have with it. And so it requires more than just one thing to become really good at it. We have to attack it from all the areas and understand how they all influence and impact our own relationship with ourselves. Because that's what self-care is. It's your relationship with you. We have to learn how to put ourselves first because what we've been learning is how to put everything else first. So just like we learned that, we have to learn how to put ourselves in the mix. And I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to help you. So keep sending these questions in. And I do hope that you got something from today, a little change in thought and something that you can implement. Answer those 2 questions or the question that I asked you. Start there. And from there, continue to build. Okay. That's all I got. Well, thank you. Send those questions in. Listen, we are going to disrupt this narrative that self-care is earned and work is first, life is first. How we live our lives are always going to be first. And everything that we do pours from that. And I want you to be pouring from full cups, from a place of abundance and not a place of fear or scarcity or loss. We can do this. I'm here. I'm here. I'm standing up to it. We're going to disrupt the conversation. We're going to change the narrative. We're going to do it together. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. I've got questions. You've got questions. I've got answers. Let's do it. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you being here. I hope that today's episode has sparked an idea or challenged a long-held belief or just moved the needle a little closer to what you want. Let's stay connected. Visit my website, sign up for my newsletter, hit me up on Instagram at Desi Eats and Travels, and tag me when you are being self-care-ish AF. I appreciate your time. Comment on this episode. You know your thoughts are important in these podcast streets. So comment, give me your feedback, and I will see you here again next week.